So today we're talking about how to dial in your messaging so that you become unforgettable. And if you've been part of the challenge, you will have seen over the last few days, we've spoken a lot around offer, we've spoken about sales, and we've spoken about ideal client. And essentially, we want to bring some of that together, but I'm going to take it to the next step as well and tell you about how powerful it is to get our stories through our content and what we do to get really clear in our audience's minds about how we can help them so that we stick out in people's minds and then it drives sales on repeat. It's really important. So this training is not for you. So it's a no for you if you get easily overwhelmed and emotional about drama. So also emotional and I guess dramatic around any data. I love data and we need to drop the emotion at points of that. And cannot post on social media consistently because you have to. And if you think great messaging alone will save your business, because it will be numerous things, like we have to get better at sales as well. So hence we spoke about sales and we also spoke about offer in a week. All of those things are part of great messaging. So is this for you? It's for you if you understand entrepreneurship is a long, hard game at points. I can't see this world of telling people that it's really easy anymore. It's challenging, but it gives us so much freedom, choice, and flexibility, and incredible things as well. So it's just being honest about where we sit with that in the market. And we were sharing today that we are in a very challenging market. If anybody says this year's easy, then they need a little bit of a reality check probably. I think we need to come together, and there'll be some industries that are definitely doing better than others. But just sometimes there's a bit of comfort in knowing that we're all in the same boat in that way. And we all want to make an impact as well as have great incomes. It's for you if you really want to simplify and get more clients. I'm seeing a lot of people right now focusing on a lot of the wrong things in business. And actually, although I don't want to sit here and say like, this is wrong, this is right. The reality is you have to be getting in conversations every day with people who need what you do to make sales. And if we're doing all the fancy stuff and a Canva and a website that we actually really don't need, we're not going to get clients who pay us money so that we can then use that money to invest and make a bigger impact and help more people. So if you want to help more people, buy back time and have the freedom that you set out to have by running a business, then you're in at the right place. So the outcome of this is that we're going to be breaking down, telling your story really powerful. Like, how do you get your message across so that it's clear not to us, but to our audience in what you do? So you start becoming and sounding unforgettable. So I'm going to share with you one of the easiest ways to weave in your story into content, because this makes us relatable and it builds resonance with our audience. Why clients leave when they run out of the future with you. So what is the reason that they then look to somebody else to solve their problems? And this one shift will help you retain, upsell, and build long-term loyalty. If you're in a challenge this week, we spoke a lot about the fact that go and look at right now all the contacts on your phone, and the fact that, like me, you've got maybe 1,000, maybe slightly less, maybe 10, 20,000. I've got 5,000 people on Instagram following me, but I'm always kind of on the search for the next one. And part of the connect, well, why don't I just connect with the people that are following me right now? And that's why we put out some of those kind of activation points this week to get our audience to take action and show interest in us, so then we can have those conversations. And then essentially craft a message that connects emotionally and keeps customers. And because logic gets attention, and we're often, again, like I said at the start, we're quite emotional and we just want to see things for what they are, and because it allows us to look at what we really need to do to move forward and see the constraints and ultimately make decisions. And lots of people don't make quick decisions in business, and it holds them back. I'm going to be talking at the end about how you can work with me, what it looks like in my mastermind. I think it's really important that we position how we sell and what we do. And I also invite my audience to see two sides: is lose the fact that you think it's pitchy, salesy, icky or something. And I want you to see the way, like, how am I doing what I do? Because it's part of what I teach with my clients around how do we sell and get across, again, our message and get people interested in what we do. So why listen to me? If you've seen Challenge this week, I'm going to briefly cover this again as well really quickly, but I've done 19 years in corporate. So I talk a lot of strategy. I love it. I think it's really important. I think it really keeps us clear and focused and looking at the gaps in our business so we can plug the gaps and know exactly what we need to do to get things done. I've come from a very strong coaching background as well. So I'm CPD coach the year in 2019, which really helped me just build some confidence and credibility in what I'm doing under a very certified coaching body. So It's part of what I use, although I mainly go into a lot of strategy, and people come to me more for mentoring now and telling them what to do. I struggle. Like, I'm not sitting here perfect. I will probably get to the end of this and have missed loads of different things. You may not have a clue. You may have a clue. I'd rather just get things done and give it a go and learn that way and see that the failures will lead me to be successful. So I love corporate for many years, was very successful, like going through the ranks really quickly. I did hit a point where suddenly it didn't work and I failed to sign off with directors, which I found really, really challenging and hard because my identity was so wrapped up in the one corporate I'd worked for that amount of time. So I was then realizing when I started to look at things that I was struggling in relationships, I was obsessed with the gym, and then that led to an eating disorder. I had no idea about what starting a business even looked like. I was like, I love the idea and the fact that I'm great in corporate, can make money and line the pockets of big CEOs, but how do I make money myself? What does that look like? So there was a mixture of feelings. And I also was very conscious about like the mindset it would take as well and how resilient I'd be. And again, I was very resilient in corporate, but like, what if people didn't like me in the outside world and it was me being me? I'm very passionate about success and a bigger ROI than money. I like making money. I like nice things, but I don't want to do that at the detriment of not having a relationship, being able to travel, and ultimately, like saying, give it to bigger things in my life. So I like giving to charities, and there's certainly different things I want to do in the future, and that comes from money. Money, when people say it doesn't buy you happiness, I think it can do. And I also know that it can also bring a lot of stress, which I'd rather not have. So I think it's how we choose to use our money and knowing what we want to do with it that makes a difference. I'm invested in my own development, and I wouldn't ask anybody to unless I'm going to want my talk as well. I think it's really important that we're learning new things. Part of the things I'm learning this year is how do I start to build more of my audience with ads and YouTube. Definitely ways that we need to future-proof our business in the future. And I always take my clients on that journey as well. So I think it brings confidence that I'm sharing that in a challenging year as well, there are businesses growing. We just fundamentally need to be making sure we're focusing on the right things that move the business forward. And I've worked with over 200 clients in the last 3 years. This is part of my mastermind. I've run in-person days. I've got another one coming up at the end of November where I want to get 100 bums on seats, which would be incredible. So I love those types of events. I think connection and community is missing so much for so many businesses. This Zoom stuff is great to a degree, but actually getting in a room like I was today with people completely is another level of energy and a connection for building your business. And I want to share the best strategies with you. Within that investment, I've deliberately done it as well, so I can share as well with more people and have a bigger impact. So I've invested in some incredible people, whether that's time, financially, effort. So a couple of them over here. I did Girl Fan, our lovely Hal Elrod on the end there, because if you've read Miracle Morning, I absolutely loved that book. I'm wearing the same dress actually, but that was over in Canada. So amazing opportunities. So let's get on to make this about you, because that's why you're here. So the first part is around telling and selling your story of power. So stop sounding like everybody else. And we were sharing this today around a lot of content right now is pretty boring. That's a reality. We can scroll and we're just a bit disinterested. There's nothing that really captures us and it's different. And therefore it's a challenge for us. And we find we can put it off because we think, well, it's not good enough. But actually we're going to look at, well, what's one of the better ways and quicker ways that we can do it? And it's in weaving your story into your content and your offers so that they convert and you can make more sales. But the biggest problem I see at the minute right now of entrepreneurs in their messaging is that they just get lost in a noise. So it doesn't convert. So this is the story we're going to look at today. It's a story, the hero's journey. You may have heard of this, but it's then I'm going to tell you and share with you how you can implement that into your content right now and give examples of that so you can see me doing it as well. So the goal with any story is to turn common lessons into short stories, things that are digestible. And again, like we know, we can do content in short form, long form, we can do videos, we can do reels, we can do posts, we can go on the stories on Instagram, for example. But people don't buy from you because you're smart. They are buying from you because they see themselves in your story and they feel seen, heard, and understood. And we were talking today around even this event we're at, again, we kind of band around the term safe now, about safe environments. And I do it. And it was one for me to reflect on in my community. But we really need to get to the depths of what that means to people. And again, like some of these words here, when we want people to feel seen and understood, what does that look like and feel and mean in content? But you will know that stories build trust, and they can do that very fast. And in business, again, like success, love, speed. So it helps us to look at the emotional side that's not just logical. And 80+% of sales are around emotion. Most of our sales calls that we'll have are people throwing objections around they haven't got the money to invest, they haven't got the time, what if it doesn't work, or they've got limiting beliefs that we have to help them work through and unpack and understand. Because if they don't, they're always going to be faced with them, and again, they'll stay stuck. So we need to understand that it's how do we really link into the emotion of where somebody's at, connect. And this is why we really have to know our ideal client really well. And the brain is wired for narrative. So I always say this around facts tell, but stories sell. Kind of helps me keep that little in peace of mind. So this is the hero's journey framework. And many people who get good engagement, now I'm not going for likes or impressions. I couldn't give a monkey's what your likes have or the impressions that you get on LinkedIn. I care for the genuine engagement that you're getting. And what you'll notice is that people that have generally good engagement or they're getting clients through every month is that they are focused on this through their content. So we want to position where someone was before, the struggle that they were faced in, the action they took, the breakthrough they had, and the lesson. That in its core, in its essence, is the steps we have here. And it's all around the hero's journey. You can look on YouTube. It's Joseph Campbell. This mainly comes from around how somebody started off, called to an adventure, as you see here. They meet that mentor, they go through the trials and tribulations, then they need to find new skills, and then they kind of do that rebirth part, and then like come back around again as a new person. So if we're taking this idea of great storytelling in this form, how do we adapt that to content? Well, we have to identify the structure. So I love a structure. I love a system and a structure. Not to rigidly stick to, but just to give again, a bit of sense of where I'm going to, which is because I'm a very strong visionary person. So we want to be able to tell our story through this arc, and ChatGPT can work really well with you on this. And I'm going to share exactly what this looks like, so you could even take the template and run it through chat and then work with it and adapt it as well from a draft piece for content. But we want to know really like the character, first of all. Who's the story about? And you can look to any of your favorite movies if you think, let's think like Star Wars, Luke Skywalker's a great example. Disney with storytelling, and think around the cycles they go through as well, of kind of like there's always the villain, and then there's goody the baddie, that type of thing, and then it all comes lovely fairy tale at the end. They take you through storytelling. That's why people love stories, and also why people love Disney. But the desire needs to kick in. So once we've got the character, what is it that character really wants? Where are they heading to? What is standing in their way? And this is exactly the same with our clients. We have a desire where they want to be, but there'll be something that's standing in their way. The same as when I said I was in corporate and I had a real desire to run a business, but I didn't know what that looked like or how or who could help me. So then the guide comes in who helps them. Hint, that's going to be you in your content. And they have to give a plan of action. That's when like the steps they need to take, what they need to go and do. And then the action is what did they actually do to get the result. This is a very effective way of making stories relatable and actionable for people. So it's very clear. So to keep this really simple for you, I've given an example. So this was one I did. I can't remember how many. The engagement was pretty good for this, to be fair. It was a carousel. So there was 2 slides, which is if you're on Instagram, doing one graphic on Instagram doesn't work as well as a carousel. A carousel, it might then, let's say there's 9 carousel slides, it will pick, as people scroll through and then they go through your slides, it will pick out the best one that people get to, or the downtime that people get to on it, and it may show that. So for example, I may see it the minute it's posted, somebody's, let's just say Lucy, and just say her, the first one is what I see, slide 1, then Jane might go through and everybody else might go through and see number 3. That's what they see on their feed. So it's got an ability, because there's more content there on the carousel, for more people to see it on the feed. So that's why we tend to not do one graphic on Instagram. So this one was 2 actually. If you scan it, you can see it. It takes you straight to this, so you can see the copy. But you can see here, this is when I met Marie Forleo, and the hook was that's why I got good engagement as well, because I paid £3,000 for 6 minutes with Marie Forleo. People thought I was insane, and they all said, like, what's the ROI on that? She was somebody I'd always wanted to meet, because her story was, she was very corporate through and through, like me, and I read her book when I was in corporate and just like literally wanting to leave, and it resonated, and I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. So she was always somebody that was very clear for storytelling for me, so it seems relevant to put it here. But the character, look, the business owner, who made an unconventional decision that others questioned, that was me here. And what did I have? The unmet desires. I wanted clarity, I wanted confidence, and I wanted a sense of direction, because I was confused on what I needed to do next. So I was second guessing myself. I lacked clarity on the messaging path of what I was doing. How do I do it? I can't make a decision. It's holding me back. It's taking me time. That time's costing me. And the guide was Marie. So she stepped in as a guide, same as she will for others. And she helped me work through things, and get, again, a bit of a sense of an idea. Now, I can expand on the story here a bit more than I may have in the story, because you can see it 6 minutes, right? So it wasn't as though she had a high plan here. But what we're just detailing here is, again, like, you taking the steps of what happened for somebody. But for me, that was around like investing at high level. Even beyond the 6 minutes, she engaged with certain people in the room, and it was really insightful to see how she did what she did. She was very different on stage speaking to being in the room with her. And trusting my intuition, just, like, she would do this, this, and this. Amazing, crack on and get it done. And then the kind of the execution. So it was me taking the bold moves, showing others how I do what I do. And the result is that there was inner trust, in that somebody's validated some things for me, which I wanted. Messaging clarity and business breakthroughs, not just revenue. So we want to be able to really demonstrate this. And I'm going to give a case study here with Shalini in a minute, and talk through, this is a way, because I'm going to build on how we can also take storytelling here, and we can expand and share it through our clients when they give a testimonial. So we've got one form here where we could do it as a post like this, as a story. And you could take that there, and you could say, use this as a template in ChatGPT. And you could say, this is my story. This is my character, desire, obstacle, and work through those. Create this as a post for me. Generally, if I'm doing it on Instagram, I'd say do it in 2,000 characters, sorry, because it's a limit of, I think it's 2,100. And again, make it really clear and compelling to my ideal client. And if we're working well with chat, it should know your ideal client profile as well. But another way to do this is to share it through your clients, their journey. So here's an example of Shalini. How was your experience before Message Mastery?
So I think before, I've never been strong on social media, not because I respect other people who do it and everything's absolutely fine, but it's just not something for me, not a route I want to go down. I'm more than happy to be on LinkedIn, but don't sort of do posts now and again. The biggest thing for me.
I'm going to stop it just there, just again, like, here we go. Perfect example of not getting it right completely, but hopefully she won't go on. But yeah, here we go. So this one here was about her sharing some of the results she got as well. So I'm a huge person on, again, show, don't tell, is because I see a lot of these posts sometimes, and I think, well, again, like, we can see that it needs to be really clear. It's not just inspiration. People just don't buy into that. They buy into the results that people get. So think around here, like she's given examples of, she talks about the program, she's talking about in the first year she's made X figure. She's also full-time in work as well. So this is very much like a business that she's building as part-time at the moment. But when I share a lot of these, if you go on my Instagram, I tend to share them every 9 windows. If I share this. This is the start of the stuff that doesn't always get loads of likes and impressions, but it gets engagement. It gets people coming through to me in a DMs when I put out things like keywords. If you want to know more about what Shalini's doing and what this could mean for you, send me this word and let's see if you're a fit. So I found that when I position content in this way, it's much more compelling because people can see themselves in that and they'll share that with me. And I'm going to share a few others with you here as well. So the goal is, like we said, is to turn those lessons into short stories. So I will sit with clients and we'll work through and we'll talk through like where they were, where they are now, what's been the gaps and the things they've done. That actually also helps you to identify in your offer what's going well, what's not. Where are people really getting the results, and also where they're not getting the results, because we should always be working on improving our offers as well. So that's just quickly there if you wanted to take a snapshot of that. You probably see it after anyway, but you're able to take that exact template there and you can run that through chat. And again, like I said, kind of plug and play a few of your examples in to see what it gets and just start playing with this and trying it. So the last part I'm going to share that's just off the back of, again, how we can create like content storytelling is to share our own story of things as well. And the part of messaging is you just have to have some fun with it a bit and try things to see what works and doesn't work. I share a lot around my secondary messaging, and a value of mine is around health. I shared that earlier in the week around that I'm really passionate about. If you're going to run a business, you need to look after your health in order to lead other people. You have to lead yourself well. So I often share around things around fitness. So I posted one of these posts in like a bit of a leotard thing when I was from a workout, like professionally done as well. And I put it onto Instagram, and somebody put this comment: "It's a shame you have to post this to be seen." I'm not going to sit here and say I was perfect. I kind of lost it, and I was like, "What on earth? Who does somebody think she's saying that? It's so rude. It's mean. This was supposed to be inspirational." And then I took the emotion out, went to a mentor, and said about how I felt on it. And they said to me, "Nah," they said, "Attention is currency." And like anything a bit that like we sometimes hear of people who are famous, that any noise or anything said about us, even if it's negative, it's out there, right? They're still talking about us. So I had to work through and reframe some things. So I thought, okay, let's take this post. And I actually blocked her, which I guess, again, like we work through things and we grow. I look back and think I would probably maybe handled it differently. But as a learning piece here, what really was interesting for me was I went and then shared this experience on LinkedIn. And it went a bit crazy. I think it got, if we're talking impressions, but I don't want to lean on that, it got the most for me, which was 80,000 plus within a few days. So it kind of went a bit wild for me. But it was more the part about why has it done that? And it's because I shared things like, again, I'm sharing my journey, I'm sharing my experience. And I then go into, again, 10 things I learned from this. So it's very personal. And in those 10 things, people can resonate, it's relatable. So there's a couple of learnings here is that we need to stand for things. So I stand for what I say around health. We're not going to be liked by everybody, and that's absolutely okay. And it took me a while to get to, like I said earlier at this, that being disliked, that's all right, that not everybody's going to like what I do or what you do. And then being able to share things and look at, actually, this is really important, why with our content we target the right audience all the time, that we're not just building people in on more connections because it's just the numbers game and the more connections, that we want the right people that follow. So if somebody unsubscribes from even the challenge or my email list, or they stop following me on Instagram, something like that, like I'm okay with that. I used to find it really hurt a little bit, but now I'm like, but if it's not right for them and they get closer to working with the person that's right for them, I'm all for that. And that's what we want, is to move people forward. So think around again how your content can really, really help people here. So there's a couple of examples there. One around how we tell stories through our clients, and that kind of really structured one, but also how we just share and stand for certain things as well. And think around people that have inspired you when they've told a story. How have they done it? What have they said? What are they like sharing with their audience? Because again, it will give you a bit of a steer of some of the messaging that you might want to be sharing with your audience too. So often when I'm working with a client, I'll say, is there somebody who is really inspiring to you, who if you could just literally just fall into their world, I'm not saying be them, but if you could fall into their world now because they're doing exactly what you want to do, like I said Marie was for me, What are the things they're sharing? What's the buckets of content they're talking around? So, like for me, Marie talks around dream life and creating a business that you love, having fun. She loves dance and things. So, it could open up ideas for you as well. So, facts tell, stories sell. So, second part is why clients leave. When they run out of a future with us, they don't see themselves evolving with us anymore, which happens. And sometimes people graduate, and that's okay as well. But this one shift will really help you change how you retain, upsell, and build long term loyalty. And I'm all about that business is relationships. We should be looking after people in our offers, in our audiences, and understanding what they want and being able to see, are we the right fit, the person that can solve that for them? So most people will think they have a marketing or a sales problem. And often you'll hear things like, I just need more leads. We actually need engaged leads. If I gave you 10 leads right now, I would ask them what you're going to do with those leads. So you'd then tell me, well, you want them engaged, and then we'd have to work at the next step beyond that. So again, back to the focus part, sometimes we don't know our biggest constraint in business. And that's where mentors come into play to support us on identifying that gap and knowing then how we can change it. So there's often it's actually a delivery problem, and it's us with the offer as well, is that we don't deliver on our offer and we don't position our offer in the right way that is clear, compelling, and that solves the problem that somebody wants. And offers have a lot to do with it. This is a really key thing that I'm working on right now. The masterminders is how we like, let's get really clear on your offers earlier in the challenge. And if you haven't seen some of the challenge days, go back and look at day 2, because I talk about offers that convert. And I was sharing this today again, that you've got to have something on your menu that is a golden burger that is way out there. So if you want to work with me one-to-one for a year, it's £15,000. What that does is it brings value to things underneath that. So then I have my 3 months one-to-one, and I have my mastermind. I did have a membership earlier in the year. And then if you want to work, you say like somebody couldn't afford to work for you, then it's like, okay, we'll go and listen to my podcast, it's free. Or jump on my YouTube channel. So this is, again, that's why we do the free lead magnets and things. So you want to be really clear though with your offers here around having that ascension model and that really golden burger at the top to bring value to everything else. If you've got an offer that's £1,000, everything underneath it is the value. That there is nothing for them to ever buy. And actually, it's like that idea of the golden burger is that if it's on there, you don't know whether someone's going to buy it or not. But if it's not on there, they're never going to be able to give you that money. So we want to be really clear again with having a really strong offer that has a very good like model. We want to look at that. One of the biggest things though for the relevance to this part here is we are not clear enough with how long things take to get results for people, and people want results. They are looking to you, they are looking to invest to get a result, whatever that's in. Maybe it's you help people around confidence to public speak. Maybe it's around their mindset around money because it's holding them back from making investments that they need to make in their business. Maybe a therapist, counselors. You need to be looking at what is it that is the result that people are coming to you for. Because in this year, we need to consider with our offer, why now? Why right now is my mastermind the best investment for people? Why right now should somebody look into you for the offer that you have? What's different about it? What difference is it going to make to their life? And we need to be able to give a time frame on this and be really clear on it. This is what, again, when we're scrolling through and we're disinterested, it's because it's the same over and over. And it's not about making false promises. It's not about giving guarantees that you can't keep to, which again, we can see in the online space quite a lot. But it is being really clear on mapping out what that journey looks like for somebody. And I think that real great marketing starts the minute you get a client. So people often think it's that before they're in. And then I see what happens is often we lose a client maybe within the first 2 weeks because we don't have onboarding calls. We lack to have that one-to-one with time with them. We lack to bring them into an offer and to show them exactly what they need to do so they lose confidence and buyer's remorse kicks in within the first 24, 48 hours, right? So we really need to be clear on mapping out an offer and looking at the delivery of the clear outcome that has for that client in the first 30 to 90 days delivery. We need to look at the weekly wins and milestones. How do you keep them on track? How do you know? And what's the feedback loop? So that's another reason, like I shared with you earlier with Shalini, is, and exactly like here with Amanda, I will sit with clients and understand and get feedback on where they are. Feedback is gold dust for you. So lean into it. Again, take out that drama and emotion with things and just look at what's going really well for them. Have those touch points in your offers. So testimonials, case studies, client stories build trust, but they also give you more insight into what's working well with your offer as well. So here you can see when I'm talking about time frame one, I've given an example. It's not me sharing it. I haven't just said Amanda's got this result. Amanda's come on and she talks around the fact that within like here 3 months, she'd gone from having an average of 2 to 3 grand a month to having her first 9K month. Why? Because we simplified her offers. She had too many offers. She didn't have a golden burger. And again, I'm not saying it's as simple as that, but once we got that clarity in what's underneath those offers and how she marketed that, she started to get more sales. Shalini, again, just that example, and again, building on it because she's worked with me for a few years, but again, just looking at the types of results, like it's not me talking about my success, it's the clients will be your noise and they'll cut through. So show, don't tell. And I can just stack these. So again, when somebody asks me, why are you different? And I'll say, well, ask my clients. They've got, like, I'm very confident that when I have calls with people, I have a triage call, which is understanding whether somebody's a fit. So I can't sell them in that time frame. I don't know if they're right for my offer. And then I'll have a sales call. In between that, I send them these and I invite them to have a look at that. You're welcome to talk to my clients as well. So this is where not only are we using storytelling well, we're using case studies, we're building trust, we're finding out more about our offers, what's working, what's not, and getting more great insights. But we're able to celebrate people. And I think that's so important. We have a little hashtag win in the WhatsApp group, and I love it. It's easy for me to go through each week. And then at the end of the week, when I do my weekly deep brief, I'm like, who's had a really good week with clients? Who's struggling? And on a Monday, they have accountability form. So in that, they get to say, nah, I'm stuck. And then I'll reach out to them. So that's only come through understanding what has been the challenges that my clients have had, is by keeping that, again, that relationship with them to understand what else I can do to help them, what else I need to go invest in to look at, actually, they want help on this, so I'm going to do it. And you can do this, again, that show, don't tell, for your own story. So a few that I will talk about, again, bringing in the messaging of corporate in my storytelling. I went from corporate to running my own business, struggled in relationships as I was on my own, to now being engaged. The identity piece of being really formal and then now being able, but also quite confident in the boardroom, to now being able to speak in front of many audiences, which absolutely helped me get more visibility in the business. And in my own personal one, from being overweight, a bit unhappy in myself, to actually starting to fall in love with the gym, feeling good about myself, getting like really focused on my health, that absolutely then helped my business and how I felt about that. So there's so many ways that we can do it right now, and you can, more importantly, and share your story. You have lived experience. And what I love about my audience is I'm not working with teens or people that are just out of uni. I'm working with people and I'm bringing in people into my world who have incredible stories, like really great stories right now. But often we're scared or nervous about how we share them. And we can look at all of that. We can really unpack it. We don't have to share everything. We just take out what's relevant for our audience. So the final part here that I'm sharing tonight is around then crafting a message that connects emotionally and keeps customers, because logic gets the attention, but the emotion gets the sale and therefore repeat business. And it's really looking here at how we're going to differentiate you with other people. So again, you start to stack the results that clients get, okay, and be really clear on it. Clients like Lindsay, clients like Sam. If you're posting generic common things and trends like right now, like, I don't know, if you're in fitness space, free fat loss tips or track your steps, we're wiser than ever. We know that. Okay. We know we can download an app that can do that. We know that we can get a Apple Watch and things. People know those side of things. So we need to lean into helping people more of our content around genuine value And value is a term that's again bandied about. Value is subjective, but value for me is when somebody can take something that we share, go and implement it and get a result, get something from it. So, like tonight, if you're going to take one thing that's of value, it may be the template, the storytelling. If somebody else, it might be how do you share your story through content. So, really start to think around like, don't just create content that looks like everybody else's. Those feeds you see where they're all really pretty and maybe bright colors and things, I like that, but it doesn't connect. It's just like scrolling past somebody else. Or the worst is when you see, it's like one marketer that's created all that content for people. I saw that last year through somebody, and I thought they're amazing, but everybody just looks the same now. So it doesn't really, you don't stand out. And we don't want to mix in and be that, you kind of blend in with that sea. So again, look at different content you share. So I will deliberately often go live once a week when I just come out the gym and my hair's everywhere and I've got no makeup on and I'm all sweaty and I'm like, right, this is reality. And because people connect with it more, it's more relatable to somebody than me sometimes coming on, makeup all done, hair all done, and things, and somebody feels that they've just had the worst day ever. So again, meet your audience and your client with where they're at. So think about are you posting just generic stuff right now? Or are you sharing things that actually they're going to care about? In content, we should be sharing more things that people, like I said, care about. So instead, share your stories, your opinions, stand for things. We spoke about how you do what you do, and I'll reflect on it in a moment. But that is important. So the rule here is no common sense content. Like, we don't want to share any of that. I want you to really, if you're going to take one thing from this whole week, is to share content now that shares your personality, share perspective on things, put something out there and create a bit of a debate. I will try and do at least 3 or 4 thought leadership posts on Facebook every single week, where I'm positioning a message that I have that's a bit more thought leader in my field around what I think on something, a really strong belief that I know may be actually a bit contrarian or slightly polarizing, but I want that conversation piece. So again, invite that. So how we can do that as well, if you're still thinking, well, okay, that's cool, but like, where do I even start? Is the starting place is to know your ideal client. And I think we tick boxes far too much. I think you have changed a lot this year. I've changed a lot this year. I've changed even in the last few months with certain personal things that have happened. So if we're changing and evolving and our expectations around things change, and we find that we see again, like people say, people are very entitled. I was in a challenge this week and some people were talking about they couldn't get on the one of the lives or something, and everyone was like, we should be able to get on, and then other people saying like, you're so entitled. And it's true, like we are. So we need to be aware that our ideal client, we have to stay close to exactly what they want and need all the time, and their expectations on things. So when they join a program, what's their expectations of how quick they get a result? If you don't know that, you need to. So the dream outcome is, what does your ideal client want? I literally have these as lists. I'm a bit of a Google Drive girl, bit of a nerd in that way. But again, or just pad and pen, I write it down all the time. So when a client tells me something like, again, like Shalini or Lindsay or Sam, Vicky, I write down and use their language. So sales calls are great for content, but those types of environments are great as well. Use the language they say. So when I do some content, I've got a client, Tony, and I remember I said something around, she said that my messaging is really messy. And I was like, I'm going to use that in content just to prove the point to you. And she was like, it's like you speak to me. And that's what we want with our content. So know what your ideal client wants and use their language. I know what my ideal client wants here. Know the problems, like the real pain points that they have. But it may be, so for example, here, like mine is, my client would feel that they're invisible, that what they're putting out is really vague. It's like everybody else. It's not really directly speaking to their ideal client. But there's a depth to that. Like, we don't speak to just the pain. We have to speak to the symptoms. So what does that mean to them? Because they don't wake up going, oh, I wish my messaging wasn't as vague, or, oh, I wish my ideal client just directly came and spoke to me. They will say things like, I really wish I got more engagement, or why do I get a few likes and comments and no inquiries, or like my audience just don't take any action. I'm putting out stuff and it just feels like I'm not even cutting through the noise. So we really need to lean into things they're talking about. I use this one often with the fitness space. I was presenting last night in a membership, and they were all fitness entrepreneurs building businesses. And I was talking around like some of them had clients that were runners and things like that. And I said, look, what are your clients think? Like, what's their biggest problem? And it may be things around confidence. And I was like, okay, well, confidence to what though? Like, what's the next step from that? And then we got to part of some limiting beliefs. And I said, okay, so what else though will I think when I get up in the morning? Oh, well, I don't have much energy, or like I just feel a bit like lethargic. And I was like, okay, so things like when I wanted to lose weight, when I was doing my fitness journey, I knew it was more around things like I wanted to do my jeans up and feel good in my jeans. And I said last night, I was like, we wanted to have sex with lights on. We want to be admired by a partner. We want to walk down a beach and then somebody winks at us, however shallow that sounds. Like really get into the depths. I'm not sure saying you have to share those types of things, but you can see that the problem isn't a surface level about what somebody's thinking in their mind. And that's what we have to connect to, the depths of something. Not that just somebody wants to be more confident. The confidence for what? I want the confidence to public speak in a room of 500 people and feel that I'm not a small fish and feel that I get their attention and they all come up to me and want to know more about how they can work with me at the end of it, opposed to me coming off and not getting a round of applause. That'd be my worst idea at the end of it. So again, really lean into that's the stuff that we can start to use in our content. Because when you start to position yourself in this way, you'll create that, like, we'll get that demand, and we want that. Like, it's business is like we need a demand, and we supply to that demand, right? So if you want people to choose you over somebody else who's maybe a therapist, a counselor, a coach, a mentor, whatever you do, teacher, you have to be really clear on who you're speaking to. So you absolutely have to niche down and own your space. You have to stop speaking to everybody. I speak to small online business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, depending on which room I'm in. Last night, they're all coaches, so I went on and did it for coaches. So get really specific about who you help and why you're the best fit for them. You have to know why. Clearly communicate what you do, who it's for, and why it's different, so your offer feels irresistible. So like I said, like we have to think about like why now for somebody? Why is it different? Own it. Own and stand in your expertise. An expert in the room is somebody who knows more about someone else. So if somebody else knows more about messaging than me and they're in the same room, I'm not the expert. If same for sales, it's whoever is in that room. If somebody else is teaching sales and I don't teach sales, they're probably going to be an expert more than I am because they give more time to it. They learn more. They're able to help more people get results on it. So lean into what you're not. And if you're not where you want to be competence wise, then you've got a skills gap. You've identified that to work on. But no more downplaying or over explaining. You have to lead with certainty. People really buy into that when you're certain, convicted, and confident on something. So you can use your messaging to overcome these doubts. So I would talk in my content around, again, maybe like Amanda was here. She had this fear. Lenny, she did a testimonial for me a few months ago. And I was like, what was the fears around investing in the mastermind? She was like, finances. I was like, okay, let's break that down. So I'm able to then use that through the content. And Lenny had a fear about whether she was going to make that investment back. And she got a client in X amount of time. And it's her saying it, not me. So it brings confidence. So use your messaging to tackle the fears, the doubts, and the price concerns, even before they're raised, like overcome those. People just want transparency. So craft your core message, and you're only going to be able to get it clearer by working on it. There's so many times I look back on stuff I've done, I think that was so unclear. And I'll probably look back at this in a year's time and think that's really unclear now. So always be working on it. And you'll see here, I use things like around, again, the picture for that's, again, credibility on LinkedIn. And I know that works because somebody, when I went to a networking event in August, said, oh, you speak? And I was like, yeah, I do. I speak on stages. And they said, what do you speak about? So not only does it get me into a warm conversation with somebody, it just, again, it goes, that's what I need a bit more of, actually. And again, it positions me with those expertise. So really think about what you've got here, because this is the stuff that's getting people's attention quickly. They'll have like seconds to look at your Instagram, to look at your LinkedIn. So you don't want it fed with things. When I see some people's on, to be fair, both platforms, and they say they do so many things. And I said to somebody yesterday, I was like, what do you actually do? I was like, there's a lot there. They're really different things as well. How do you help me? I don't know. And that's all we care about is ourselves. So again, so we have to be thinking around with our audience, what's not the messaging that works for us? What's the messaging that works for them? So a great way for you to start considering this. I used to do the whole I help stuff and I work with this person. It's a bit boring and it's a bit foggy and messy. I want you to think around things like people come to me when. Now you have to identify people. Is it small online business owners? Is it coaches, teachers, whoever you help? So you may say something as well. This is my preferred one is, you know when. So I will say, or you know how. You know how when you're scrolling through social media and you've had a really long day, you're tired, and you just look through and you're like, everybody just looks like this. They're posting the same thing over and over. And it's a bit boring, it's a bit vague, and there's nobody that really connects with you. I help you with that. We work on cutting through, looking at your messaging, getting really clear and compelling. Or I'll help you stand out on social media. It depends again the rooms I'm in. And that's why, again, like I'm saying, it's not like I'm just giving you perfect go and do this and it'll work. We have to work through it. But this works better than the whole I help. If I was to go to somebody to say I'm a messaging strategist, well, one is dead, and it's not going to lead somewhere. Versus it's all about me, not them. And I'm not just a messaging strategist or expert, whatever, or coach. Like there's over 100,000 coaches in the UK. So how am I going to stand out? And I'm like, I'm a coach. So I'll say, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you have no idea what you've got to do, and you wish that somebody just gave it clarity. So you had kind of all your ducks in a row, you felt confident, and you got more opportunities coming in each week for sales. I help you with that. So again, put yourself in their shoes with this. Usually always add the why. So always think about why. Why? There's a root analysis often with things. If we've got a problem, is looking at it and ask why, all the way through so you get to the root cause of something. Explain why it's different. Explain why it exists, the difference it's going to make. And just to recap the other day when we were speaking around the core messages, and again, please take a snapshot of this. I think these are really important to get through. What you do and who you help, that has to be really laser focused and clear, and it has to be consistent. Your story and why it matters. Just start with one for the minute and stuff will start to unpack for you. And you'll start to see of your clients as well, their stories, and think around, oh, mine's similar to that. What makes you different? Your unique edge, what you care about. I care about family. I care about health. I care about giving back. I have really strong values in business. I don't need to like do a tick box exercise on them. I know what I care about and I share that with people. And how you work your personality. Like we shouldn't be changing ourselves. We should be embracing who we are and knowing that that'll be right for the right people and that connects and that's okay. So really lean into that. Like this isn't about you changing you. It's about working and like accelerating your greatness and helping those people who need that and finding your spaces and finding your communities because they are out there. So dream client, who are they? Where are they hanging out? So if you tell me you want to be on TikTok and I say, is your client on TikTok? And you say no, then expect, why would you be on TikTok? Let's not waste your time now. Let's get, where your ideal client is hanging out. Mine are on Facebook, mainly Instagram, and a couple of them sometimes are on LinkedIn. Why do they buy? What triggers their decisions to buy? What is it? And why would they buy from you? Because that will help you get the clarity on offer. And again, like I said, just that, keep coming back to the why now. You'll notice I use repetition. It's important. Like repetition is the mother of learning. And that's what, when you have real clear content, you talk about the same things over and over. So you stand out, you're top of mind. You don't need to be sharing loads of different things because it just confuses your audience and they don't know what you stand for. So think around crafting your core message, that big idea, that angle you have, using storytelling, using a language that your clients will resonate with, not like corporate jargon, not fancy stuff, like meet them where they're at. And document things, share more things about how people are getting on, take them on that journey with you as well. It's so much more appealing when somebody's on that. And it's the best form of accountability. So it's often like I'll share around some of the fitness stuff, like I did yesterday on Facebook. And I was like, I'm back on it this week. I'm back hitting the plan. That's why I'm not drinking wine tonight. I'm making sure I get to the gym 4 times a week. Why? Because I'm focused on this goal. And there's something in that helps me stay accountable because I've made it public to people. There's a science behind, I think, that the best form of accountability is again, publicly telling people you're going to do it. So again, take people on a journey with things, and talk about them, overcome through that. And again, just that point, messaging isn't about what feels right to you. It's about bringing in your brand, your offer, your sales, your marketing. It's everything of how you do what you do that will build resonance. And that's what it means and says to your audience. That's what's important and relatable here. And I think like one of the golden threads I always like to talk around with anything I do is that whether you think you can, you can't, you're right. And that's so important here. Whether you think you can do great messaging or not, you're right. Sales, you're right. Business, you're right. And there's a lot of mindset we have to work through. Just want to recap. Start with clarity. This is really, really important. Get your client avatar and offer nailed. And please stop having all these offers. And I like launches, but I think people are launching all the time just because an offer's not worked. And actually, we need to think around why is the offer not landed before we do another one. Refine your core message, test it on your audience and get feedback. They'll give you the gold dust, and people want to help people all the time. I'm always giving feedback to my mentors and stuff. It's like, this worked really well, but actually, could we do this? And some stuff's a no, and some stuff's like, yeah, okay. One of my clients the other day said, could we have a co-working space? And I was like, no, I can't quite offer that. I said, we can look at doing some more, maybe co-working online together. I said, but as an additional space on top of the days, like, it's not at the moment something I'm going to look at, but I've noted it down. So I'm open to it. I want to help them as well. But I think, again, it's just that open transparency. But they'll give you the gold dust on what they want. Commit to consistent content creation. So show up with purpose and be visible. That's really important every day. Collect and share the social proof. And if you don't have it, go get it. And invest. And if you can't afford to financially invest in yourself, then it's a time one. So it's stuff like this. It's at night, knowing that if you're working like I did in corporate, like I didn't just leave and start the business. I was doing content every single day. So every lunch hour I had, I'd be sitting in my office, and I'd be doing content. And then I'd get home and then I'd be jumping on calls to learn more about things. Because I invested in masterminds. I was in one at once in Tacky Moors in Australia, and I was up at, I think, 10 p.m. at night. He used to do them because of Australia. So I would do it, or 11 o'clock at night. It was worth it. It was brilliant. So again, like, make that investment, whether it's financially or it's time as well as effort. So I want to just come to, if anybody's got any questions, you can feel free to just either come on to chat and share if you want to. Or you can just come live on and just jump on. I'll give the space, and of course, then if people don't have any questions, that's fine as well. Or any reflections, or any just things you want to talk through. Or key learning.
Hi, Natalie.
How are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you. I just thought that was so powerful. Just to say thank you so much. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And yes, I think we've worked together a bit before, but yeah, I'd absolutely recommend you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed this evening. Thank you very much.
Can you just say that I didn't ask you to be on, though, to say that?
Gosh, no.
I'm surprised
I,
you're still going.
Let me just say, I've got three little boys. I cannot do anything for myself, but I just wanted to be on here for tonight because I think Natalie's amazing. Yeah, no, well, you haven't asked me to do anything.
I did kick your bum for not being on the challenge, though.
No, I've really enjoyed it. It's been some real mic drop moments, and I've run a business for 16 years, and I think it's so powerful to listen to other people as well.
Yeah,
I've started a new business as well, and I don't think you can beat having people in your field. And I completely agree with you. Like, people know more than you. Just, I don't know. I've really enjoyed this. I just think you should believe in the power of people, and yeah.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think you're brilliant, and you know.
And again, just an example, like, you just meet great people. Like, again, like, you give me so
Yeah,
much
it's the
feedback.
networking.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
really powerful. I think we're seeing, like, you run events, and they're so powerful, aren't they? That's why I like to include them in the mastermind, because I think it's the best space that we can have right now.
Yeah, and actually, to give you some real clarity, I'm going to be up in London on the 26th, and you said you're doing it on the 27th. And I've already spoken to my husband and said, look, I'm going to stay a night away because I want to be in Natalie's day.
Love that. I need you in a room. I need you in a room.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.